Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about hard times for good men, because that's indeed what we are looking at. I don't think you can deny that politically, socially, things are coming to a head. The left, the socialist, communistic, social justice warrior, feminist types are feeling emboldened. You know, they feel like they really have to clamp down. CEO, Apple, I don't know if he's the CEO, explained, they have to censor the people like you and me. He's got to make sure that we're saying and thinking the right things. And it's coming down across all the social media platforms where an authoritative, matriarchal, like you hurt my feelings, everybody has to get along as a group, kind of mindset is stripping the men mostly, but all people, of their freedom of speech. So they're really playing this card really hard. And I'm hoping that by sharing my views with it, about it with you, you can gain some insight to the situation and avoid some of the pitfalls in the situation, at least better than I did, right? Because the men are being punished for the very quality that makes them a man. I forget the source of the quote, so I don't know how valuable it is as a quote, but the idea is still important. When the government becomes corrupt, the good men, the good people, they leave the service. They realize there's no place for them. For example, I get punished here on YouTube for telling the truth, for telling what I believe to be how things are going on. It offends some people, and therefore I get demonetized, right? Now, some of you hear that and you're like, oh man, he's begging, he's a shill. Look, I believe in free markets. I believe that anybody who comes into a market and has a product and then can promote that product should have their, shot at the market. The idea of saying, oh, you're not allowed to say that. Oh, these are the regulations. Oh, you have to do. To me, I know what it is. It's a form of, discriminatory practices is what it comes down to. It's people trying to build a little private fiefdom, in their world based on their approval. So if I'm not friends with the big channel, he's going to put me in the shade. He's going to mock me and belittle me to the larger group. It demonstrates that the person doesn't understand what freedom and individualism really is, and this is where men prosper. So understand that in this corrupt environment, all right, that the good man is driven away because he's looking after his interest. He's trying to tell the truth. But the corrupt man, no, this is like, a paradise for him. He's making good money about now because he's betraying his own men. He's betraying his own people. There's a place for him. Look, if you're on the enemy's radio or news station and they're like, yeah, man, we really want to hear what you have to say, they're playing you. They are using you. And if they're like, hey, you're not allowed to say that, you got to shut that down, then that's the message that will hurt them, okay? So the last thing that I'm interested in is a really popular guy trying to tell me, what's going on, because I know he's a sellout. Look, this is the same argument from the beginning of the Philosopher King or Plato's Republic. Who is fit to rule a free state? Who can it be? Because if it can't be the popular politician. It can't be him because he's compromised himself at every step along the road to get to where he is. He is beholden to everyone. So if your system becomes corrupt, and the way to get by is through slander and through self-promotion and through exploiting the wants and the needs of the people, not fulfilling them, not curing them, but exploiting them. Okay, that's what that's what most people do. They're not trying to solve any of your problems. They're trying to take advantage of your problems, and they want to keep the problems going. The problems are the source of their control. Sorry, I get a little excited about these issues. The good, honest, productive people, they leave the corrupt system because they know that they're going to be driven out of the corrupt system. The people who gain power and influence within the corrupt system do so because they are corrupt, because they go along with that system. So what you're looking at now is a man puts out a piece of content that speaks to the men that are suffering here winter 2018 because of the heavy hand from the left, like, oh, I'm offended. You're not allowed to say that. It's like, yeah, but I'm talking to 10,000 men that don't have jobs. I'm not talking to women or children or little boys. I'm talking to men that are suffering. It's like I'm coming into a hospital, okay, where the people are recovering, from some serious injuries, and I can't bullshit them, okay? I can't blow smoke. I can't pretend it's a party. It doesn't go over. I have to address the situation as it is. But hey, perhaps the kid doesn't know what the situation is. Perhaps he thinks it's party time. You know what I mean? Like he's on top of the world. His message is getting out there. He's raking in the money and he's like, woohoo, hey, I'm here at the hospital to tell a few jokes, everybody. I'm like a late night TV show host. Haha. Right. Honestly. So actually, we could analyze our actual late night TV show hosts, and it would actually reveal a great deal about culture and society, right? Because these guys are puppets. Ideally, you would use comedy to tell the truth, to slip the truth in, with a little joke. It's a little Trojan horse. Not these guys. Oh, no, they do it exactly the opposite, right? It's horrible. Comedy has these two aspects to it. One of making people laugh and, finding witty comparisons and situations to illustrate misunderstandings, unusual interpretations. That's one aspect of comedy. And it takes a fair amount of intelligence to actually, get those jokes and things like that. But another aspect of comedy is just making a mockery of other people and saying that it's comedy. Slandering somebody like they do with Trump in the news and saying that, it's news reporting. A YouTube channel mocking and belittling all other men and saying, that it's being done in the name of analysis of the issue. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, you're the only real man on the whole planet. You're the only man who has any insight to the suffering of man. You're the only man who can offer any sort of solutions to the problems that we're dealing with. It's the narcissistic delusion of a child that hasn't experienced life and believes that their own little private world is all that there is. So it really is like the little prince who's lived the sheltered life, and says, what's that? What's that over there? And the guard says, oh, that's suffering. That's old age. That's poverty, And the kid's like, oh, those people disgust me. I'll have nothing to do with them. Take me back to the palace, right? So it's like, oh, you little sniveling shit. You little self-serving, narcissistic fool. Right? So in case you don't know, I'm telling you the story of Buddha, except I'm reversing it. Buddha says, the little prince says, I had no idea that there was this level of suffering in the world. How can I go back to my palace? And he does. He goes back to his palace and he says to his father, what is this? I've never seen it. And his father says, that's right. You've never seen it. I've kept it hidden from you. I didn't want you to see it. But that's the real world. And he's like, well, how can I stay here in the palace anymore? And the father says, what are you, crazy? You want to go out there? You want to be a part of that? And the kid says, I have to go out there where the people are really suffering. I have to experience what they're experiencing so that I can address these issues. Imagine if the little boy just said, oh, I want to continue to play in the palace. and just mocked and belittled those people, okay? So this is our natural inclination of our childlike personality, that whatever we do in the world, that's the right way to get by in the world, right? So if the kid gets up and he does 10 push-ups and, 10 sit-ups every day, and you say to him, how do you work out? What's the best way? He says, well, I believe in the 10 push-ups and the 10 sit-ups every day method. And if you try to argue with him, it becomes a personal attack, if you disagree with him. So it comes down to the only way to work out in this world, okay, is 10 sit-ups and 10 push-ups. And even when it doesn't even work for the kid anymore, he's still bonded to his own ideas. Not a real pleasure to have a conversation with or to have any sort of an exchange with. Right, because there's no exchange. It's just an arrogant child, proclaiming to understand the world and to explain it to you, but they don't understand the world, and it's just indulgent arrogance and narcissism and, personal bias confirmation. Look, if the world isn't disagreeing with you, then you're probably just playing along, right? Like if you're like on top of the world and everybody loves you, then you're probably full of it. I'm sorry. And it's not even useful. You know what I mean? Like I don't need an engineer to tell me that everything's working fine and there's no problems and, we don't need to do anything. It's like, are you sure about that? Because I can analyze this system and I can find, some lack of efficiency in it. And it's like, nope, everything's fine. No work to do here. Like, I don't know. Looks like a lot of these men, are losing their jobs and are being falsely accused. And when they try to make their way in the world, it looks like they're getting, treated really unfairly. I know I am. I know that. Okay. And I hope you don't think that I'm complaining or shilling and begging from you. Okay. I believe in the principle that nothing is for free in this world. Somebody somewhere has to pay for it. So if you're getting something for free, it's because somebody else, footed the bill for you. And you can do that, especially as a child, especially, as a dependent, right? Person who depends on other people for, their welfare. I've always relied upon the kindness of strangers, right? So there you go. I don't need insights from a child that has no insights, that is just indulging their own ego. The great authors also put themselves out into the world to experience the suffering of the world. They don't hide away in a make-believe virtual world. They experience the real world of the real people so that they can address the concerns of the real people. Now, I'm saying to you that the men are suffering, that they're being treated unfairly. And it's a hard thing to hear, okay? It implies that there's a fault in the system, okay? It's like the engineer coming to you and saying, hey, we've got a problem, because you're in charge. You're in charge of your own life, largely, right? Like you get to decide the course of the ship, but you don't necessarily get to decide the weather or the conditions, in the places that you're going. Don't hide in a little virtual world. Don't develop an area of personal bias confirmation and then gloat how you're the only real man, that your way is the only way, that you're the only one that understands the situation and has anything to offer to anybody. You're not. Many men can see the open road, Led Zeppelin, over the hills and far away. You're not the one true Scotsman. It's an illusion that the narcissistic, lacking confident child projects to the world. Real people deal with the problems of the real world and the suffering of the real world, just as the little prince leaves the castle because he knows that he can't live that sheltered life. He knows it's a lie. Now, you want to tell yourself that you're great and you're on top of the world and you own all of this and you're the only real MGTOW? Okay, all right. Live the lie. Indulge yourself. Meanwhile, let me address the men and the real situation. You're going to have to hide what you do. The right hand can no longer know what the left hand is doing. I hope you understand. Cryptocurrency. If anyone in this gynocentric system knows what you're doing and you're prospering, you're doing well, they will shut you down, okay? Now, if you're part of the system, then you may prosper. But if you're a man going his own way, speaking the truth to the world, living the truth, not hiding out with all of your friends who agree with you, okay? If you're out here and you're seeing, oh, wow, the men are being fired, the men are being falsely accused, the men are being overtaxed, right? If you're out here, you'll see it, you'll hear it. The men are losing their families. The men are being ostracized from their children. The men are losing their jobs. The men are being put on the street in the winter. Oh, but you're going to have a party? Oh, but you're super cool? Give me a break. Give me a break. Why don't, honestly, it's like a guy walking into the hospital and dancing a jig. It really is. It's like, gee, I wonder why nobody's laughing. It's because they're suffering. It's because they've been hurt. They've been damaged. These are the issues. This is the situation. This is why, they're having riots in Paris. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, that the suffering is real, that the situation is real, and that the little boy who claims to understand and know everything that's going on is delusional, that's all, and I'm glad that he's, having a good time, and I'm glad that he's real popular, and I'm glad that he thinks it's okay to look down on the men who are suffering. But I want you guys to know that not everybody sees it that way. Like, I understand the system is broken. The system is not working for the honest, good, hardworking man. It's working for some other type of person. And it's important because it determines our future. In other words, you can always sell out the present to make good money right now, but you destroy the future. You can always attack your fellow man and destroy his reputation, like they kind of do with Trump. It's an easy way, to get some support. But to suggest, to admit that it's a complex situation and that we're all coming at it, doing the best that we can, and that maybe we all have pieces of the puzzle, maybe we all have something to contribute, maybe, most of us are worthy. That's a really hard row to hoe. It really is. I know. So I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? I could just say it directly, but, and normally that is my way, but I am oddly compelled to play, a sort of game when I'm playing with people who think this is a game. So as a man that's aware of the situation, I understand that the good men are suffering. I understand that good people are suffering in a corrupt system. I understand that the system itself is no longer designed to serve the needs of the good people, which means that the work that the system is doing is leading us down the wrong road. It's leading us down a road of dependency, not freedom. Understand that that's what a lot of people want. They want to be taken care of. They want to be in a secure system. They want to feel good about it. They don't want to question. They don't want to overcome difficult problems. They don't want to consider them. The more capable a person is in dealing with the real world. In other words, the little prince is not prepared to deal with the real world problems. He's making up little things about him and his friends. That's all. The idea that, the men are being fired because they're showing up on time and, treating people with respect and dignity. This is honestly what's going on. And that the people who are going to the party and hanging out with corrupt managers and serving their political will and, granting political favors and confirming each other's biases. These people are getting ahead. That's what you're witnessing. So what I'm suggesting to you as a man is that you go your own way and that you keep what you do to support yourself hidden from the world. Because the little prince is not going to let you have it. The little prince is going to make a mockery out of every man who's, pushing a cart trying to sell some apples. The little prince is going to make that shit illegal, right? Because he doesn't need it. And it disgusts him. And the old people on the streets without any, money or being pushed out into the cold because of the taxes. And it is winter right now, at least in the Western Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere, sorry. They can't even see the suffering. of the real people. They're like telling, anyway, I think you understand what I'm trying to say, even though I don't want to say it explicitly. Many men can see the open road. Many men have something to offer you, some insight to offer you. It might not all be MGTOW. It might not all confirm all of your personal biases. But, if your car breaks down and you've got a mechanic and he's not a MGTOW, what are you going to do? Or if you don't agree with him on some other point, what are you going to do? You're going to not use him as a mechanic? You're going to get him fired? You're going to get him deplatformed? Because maybe he doesn't like your favorite band or your favorite music or your favorite politician? Well, that's exactly what's going on right now. So if you're the mechanic, I understand what's going on for you right now. And I know that you're going to have to go your own way. You're going to have to build your own business. You're going to have to find your way, of becoming an entrepreneur in this age. And you can't let other people know what you're doing because they'll take it away from you. They'll tear it down. Believe me, I know. So don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing anymore. Or rather, don't let your right hand know what the left hand is doing anymore. You can't share your success with the world because the people that you're dealing with will resent it and destroy it because you don't go along with their worldview. And their worldview is nothing more that they are the little prince and that they're in charge. And if you don't go along with them and their whims and their worldview, they're going to hurt you. That's it, okay? That's the little prince, using his power. But in the real world, it's men and women that are suffering due to the corruption of keeping a little prince in power. Okay, so I just wanted to share some of these thoughts with you. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, everyone.